Okay, so we've talked about dumbbells, So we've talked about barbell deadlifts and hip hinges, floor-based hip hinge patterns using the glute bridge. We've done some kettlebell work, but what about the dumbbells? What can we do with those from a hip hinge patterning standpoint? Pretty much if you can hold it in your hand, you can recreate all the other things we just did. So let me show you what those look like. From an RDL standpoint, again, Romanian deadlift, I can simply just grab one dumbbell, two dumbbells, and I can perform the same way I did with the kettlebell. So let's grab some weight here, and I'm going to grab these 80s. So I'm going to pick them up with good form. Okay, feet are shoulder to hip width apart. Shoulders are stacked, nice and tall. Head is up, neutral neck and spine. I do my hip hinge, RDL to the mid shin, right back up. Now, obviously, I can do quite a bit of weight with dumbbells as well. It's more of a challenge because I've got technically more of a challenge than a barbell, because a barbell, I'm basically holding one piece of equipment. With kettlebells and dumbbells, I'm holding two pieces of equipment, so it becomes a little bit more challenging from a stability standpoint, especially if you have some grip strength challenges. Our dumbbells here go up to, I thought we got, 100 pounds. So, I can conceivably hold up to 200 pounds, whether it's here. I can do a little bit more with the kettlebells, and then work my way over to barbell if that's what I was going to do. Now, the other question that you might have is, well, can I do, how do I do deadlifts with the dumbbell? So the difference is we still got to remember that the bar at the squat rack or at the platform came to about shin height. So if the dumbbell has a smaller set of plates, so it'd be too low. And as an example, if I was trying to do a dumbbell deadlift with, let's say, one arm at this point, this position, in order for me to get down here, I really got to get low. It's not necessarily wrong if you can do it, but just consider for someone who's a beginner, you're not thinking about stability, you're not thinking about your spine, and it just might make it more challenging, and inadvertently they might just do this, which is not what we want to see. This is that rounded spine that is always contraindicated and an absolute no-no in weightlifting. So instead, I'm going to put it up on its end. Let me scoot it back here so you can see it. Okay, I think you can see that, yep. So now it's on its end, so that gives me a little bit more height. Now this might be helpful for a client because it's actually a little bit higher than even the barbell might go. And I can just, same form, break at the waist, relative vertical shin, parallel torso, put my fingers under the top set of plates, neutral spine, nice and rigid, stand right up with it, and down. So I can certainly do deadlifts that way, especially if someone's a beginner. It gets hard to do two dumbbells that way, obviously, because you don't really have the ability to hold them. Now, the final thing I want to show you is a single leg Romanian deadlift. And that looks a little bit different. You definitely don't need all this weight. So grab something that's relatively modest in weight. And the single leg means I'm going to use one leg. Unilaterals, one leg. Now, in the event I'm holding the dumbbell standard in my left arm, I'm going to work my right leg. It's an opposite pattern, okay? So my left leg comes back, make sure no one's behind you, balance on one leg, and I do that same hip hinge pattern, neutral spine, and come right back up on that one leg. And you may have noticed there's some balance stuff there, right? Because the load is offset. So if I do it facing you, the load is offset from my right leg. Let's look at that again. So immediately my foot is trying to stick into the ground. I'm maintaining neutral spine, hip hinge, come right about mid-shin, come back up. And my glute is on fire, trying to stabilize the pelvis on one side with this offset load, okay? You can certainly do same side, that would be a little bit easier. And it's not wrong, but the load is now stacked this way, so it's gonna be easier. So from a progression standpoint, maybe you try this with a client who's learning this for the first time, same side RDL, dumbbell RDL, before you move to the offset RDL, dumbbell RDL. Remember too, with the offset, because I don't have this in line, my core is engaged quite a bit to prevent me from rotating that way, right? So a lot of core engagement. This is a really, really good exercise and very challenging. So when you try and make sure that the loading is relatively light and have some fun with this stuff as you start to explore different ways to engage in the hip hinge pattern.